Welcome to the AI Angle. Today, we're diving into the USAID crisis. Billions in humanitarian aid are frozen, thousands of jobs cut, and global programs halted. To break it down, I asked AI to predict the future of USAID. Ever wondered how America's greatest adventure in peace began? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the story of an organization that changed thousands of lives, including maybe yours. It's 1961. The world is divided by the Cold War, but one American president has a wild idea. What if we fought distrust with friendship? Enter the Peace Corps. Kennedy's bold experiment in global connection. Picture this: young Americans, fresh-faced and idealistic, landing in villages across the globe. Teachers, farmers, healthcare workers, all volunteering to make a difference. By the end of the 60s, these everyday heroes were everywhere, from the mountains of Nepal to the savannas of Senegal. But hold up, this wasn't just about helping others. This was America's secret weapon in the Cold War. While the Soviets showed off their missiles, the US was building bridges, one volunteer at a time. Fast forward to today. Climate change? They're on it. Gender equality? You bet. HIV/AIDS crisis? Peace Corps volunteers were there, proving that sometimes the quietest revolutions are the most powerful. 6 decades later, the mission remains. World peace isn't just a dream, it's built one friendship at a time. But the Peace Corps wasn't America's only tool for global good. Enter USAID. Think of it as America's humanitarian powerhouse. While Peace Corps volunteers work on the ground, USAID tackles the big picture, fighting diseases, building schools, boosting economies, and rushing in when disaster strikes. From fighting hunger to strengthening democracies, they're changing lives in over 100 countries. In recent developments, drastic policy changes have impacted USAID, ranging from the immediate suspension of billions in humanitarian aid to questions about the agency's long-term role in U.S. foreign policy. To explore these issues, we turn to 3 distinct AI voices, each offering their perspective on the unfolding situation. In this interview, our panelists, Claude.ai, DeepSeek, and ChatGPT, will address key questions regarding the freeze, the motivations behind it, and its short and long-term implications. Let's start with the first question. What is the immediate impact of the USAID freeze? Claude AI. 1. Thousands of contractors laid off. 2. Dozens of senior officials put on administrative leave. 3. Overseas staff being recalled within 30 days. 4. Website and social media accounts taken down. 5. Major programs shuttered, including HIV clinics in Africa, migrant support services in Latin America, safe mobility offices in multiple countries, mental health programs for LGBTQ+ refugees, DeepSeek programs providing nutritional aid to malnourished children, HIV treatment in Africa, and mental health support for Venezuelan LGBTQ+ refugees have halted. Clinics and migrant shelters are closing, and thousands of contractors have been laid off. Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America are hit hardest, with safe mobility offices for migrants shuttering. Confusion over exemptions for life-saving programs persists, worsening the crisis. ChatGPT. The freeze has led to a sudden halt in billions of dollars in humanitarian aid, leaving thousands of contractors and senior officials furloughed or laid off. Key programs such as nutritional assistance for malnourished children, HIV treatment in Africa, and migrant support services in Latin America have shut down. This disruption is causing global uncertainty among aid organizations, with many unsure of how to continue operations. Moving on to our second question. Why is USAID being targeted? Claude.ai. Trump administration claims: 1. Agency is run by radical lunatics. 2. Programs are wasteful. 3. Need to align with America First policy. Musk's allegations. 1. Called it a criminal organization. 2. Claims it's a viper's nest of radical left Marxists. 3. Alleges billions stolen and used for media payoffs. Part of a broader effort to cut government spending. Popular with voters. 60% of Americans believe the U.S. spends too much on foreign aid. DeepSeek. The Trump administration and Musk's DOGE accuse USAID of inefficiency, wasteful spending, e.g., grants to LGBTQ+ groups in Serbia, and promoting a liberal agenda. Musk calls it a criminal organization, alleging misuse of funds. Republicans historically seek tighter State Department control over foreign aid, aligning with Trump's America First policy. DOGE aims to slash trillions in federal spending, targeting agencies like USAID. ChatGPT said has long been a political battleground. The Trump administration, supported by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, claims the agency is wasteful and misaligned with national interests. Musk has gone further, calling it a criminal organization. The administration argues that USAID funds programs that do not directly benefit the U.S. and has used the freeze to conduct a review aimed at cutting spending and increasing oversight. Finally, let's discuss our third question. What are the short-term and long-term predictions? Claude AI. Short-term. 1. Continued disruption to humanitarian programs. 2. Increased cooperation from aid recipients due to funding threats. 3. Legal challenges expected from Democrats. 4. Potential merger with the State Department. Long-term. 1. Could create a vacuum for Chinese influence in developing nations. 2. May impact the creditworthiness of aid-dependent countries. 3. Higher borrowing costs for emerging markets. 4. Potential security risks in strategic regions, e.g., Syrian prison guards. 5. Reduced U.S. soft power and global influence. DeepSeek. While fiscal hawks might applaud short-term savings, the long-term costs, human, strategic, and reputational, far outweigh them. USAID's dismantling would weaken America's global leadership and cede ground to adversaries, all while deepening suffering in vulnerable regions. The administration's approach risks trading transient political wins for enduring damage to both humanitarian values and national security. ChatGPT. Short-term impacts are quite disruptive. The immediate halting of billions in aid means that many critical programs, from nutritional support and health initiatives to migrant services, are abruptly interrupted. This not only affects vulnerable populations in regions like sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America, but also creates uncertainty among local organizations and partners that depend on a steady flow of funds. Economically, projects reliant on USAID's support might collapse, forcing governments and private investors to seek alternative, possibly more expensive financing. Looking long-term, the stakes could be even higher. If USAID is restructured or dissolved, it might undermine U.S. leadership in global humanitarian and development efforts, opening the door for rival powers such as China to expand their influence by filling the vacuum. Additionally, the U.S. might face diplomatic and strategic setbacks as its traditional soft power and credibility in promoting democracy and development could be compromised. Although proponents argue that a rigorous review of spending could eventually lead to more efficient and targeted aid programs, balancing fiscal efficiency with global stability remains a challenging prospect. So what do you think? Should USAID be reformed, replaced, or shut down? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more AI-driven analysis.